In the theater of a long life, the grand declarations of youth often give way to a quieter, more profound language. When we are young, connection is often announced with trumpets, loud proclamations, and grand gestures. But with age, with the shared history of decades, intimacy learns to speak in whispers. It communicates not through overt demands, but through a subtle, nonverbal poetry that most of the world is too busy to notice. For the man of experience, understanding this language is not a tactic, it is the final frontier of emotional intelligence. Many men, even in their later years, are conditioned to listen only for a clear yes. They wait for the explicit invitation, and in doing so, they miss the entire, beautiful conversation that happens before a single word is spoken. What if you could perceive the quiet currents that flow beneath the surface of a conversation? What if you could understand the unspoken invitations that signal a desire for deeper connection? Today, we are not merely listing signs of arousal. We are learning to read the nuanced language of mature intimacy, a language written in the body, grounded in trust, and spoken only when a woman feels truly safe and seen. This is not about decoding lust, it's about appreciating the art of a connection so deep, it no longer needs words. The first and most profound chapter of this unspoken language is written in the gaze. It is often said that the eyes are the windows to the soul, but for a mature connection, they are more than that, they are the very doorway to vulnerability. In a new relationship, eye contact is a question. In a relationship that has weathered time, it is an answer. When a woman feels a deep sense of connection and a stirring of intimacy, her gaze will change. It is not just about the duration, but the quality. It softens. The hard, analytical edge of daily life dissolves, replaced by a look that is both present and deeply accepting. Psychologically, this is a profound act of surrender. To hold another's gaze without flinching is to say, I am here, with you, and I am willing to be seen. Neurologically, a state of deep connection and arousal triggers a release of dopamine and norepinephrine, causing her pupils to dilate involuntarily. This is not a trick of the light, it is a biological signal that her mind is focused, engaged, and finding immense pleasure in the moment with you. She may look at you, then glance down at your lips, and then meet your eyes again. This is not a sign of distraction, but of a mind contemplating a deeper form of closeness. For the man of wisdom, recognizing this shift is not about seeing a green light. It is about recognizing a moment of profound trust and honoring it with his own focused, unwavering presence. The second chapter is communicated through the mouth, but it is about far more than just lips. It is about the return of a certain youthful energy that only appears in moments of complete comfort and safety. You may notice her bite her lip. In a younger woman, this is often a sign of nervous tension. In a mature woman who trusts you, it is more often an act of playful suppression, an attempt to contain a smile or thought that is both exciting and intimate. It is a fleeting, unconscious gesture that says, you bring out a feeling in me that is still wonderfully new. But look beyond that single cue. Notice the quality of her smile. Is it a polite, social smile that lives only on the lips? Or is it a genuine smile that reaches her eyes, crinkling the corners in a map of shared joy and history? A woman who desires deeper intimacy will smile more freely in your presence. Her laughter will be quicker, less guarded. Psychologically, these actions are disarming. They are her way of lowering her own defenses and inviting you to do the same. In a world that often demands a stoic or professional facade, this unguarded warmth is a powerful invitation. It is a signal that in this moment, with you, she feels free enough to let the playful, sensual, and joyful parts of her spirit come to the surface. It is an invitation not just to intimacy, but to shared joy. The language of touch is perhaps the most direct dialect of desire, yet in a mature relationship, it speaks with profound subtlety. The foundation of a deep connection is not built on grand, passionate embraces, but on the accumulation of thousands of small, affirming gestures over time. When a woman is feeling a pull towards greater intimacy, the nature of her touch will change. It is not about the quantity, but the quality of duration and intention. A hand that rests on your forearm during a conversation might linger for a beat longer than usual. A touch on the small of your back as she passes you is a gesture of both guidance and possession. She may find reasons to smooth a wrinkle on your collar or brush a piece of lint from your shoulder, each one an excuse to bridge the small gap that separates you. These are not accidents, they are questions being asked in a language the body understands instinctively. The science is clear: these moments of connection are driven by oxytocin, the neurochemical responsible for bonding and trust. But in a mature context, it is more than just a chemical reaction. It is the physical manifestation of a trust that has been earned over years, or the hopeful exploration of a new trust being built. The man of perception understands this. He does not see these gestures merely as signals to be acted upon, but as communications to be received and reciprocated. A gentle touch returned, a hand held for a moment longer, these are the responses that deepen the conversation and can confirm that the invitation has been accepted. Beyond the gaze or the touch, there exists a language even more primitive and honest, the language of space. Each of us walks through the world surrounded by an invisible bubble of personal space, a territory we only allow to be entered by those we deeply trust. It is a boundary we subconsciously defend from strangers, but willingly open to those we desire to be close to. A wise man understands that the management of this distance is one of the most revealing dances of human connection. When a woman feels truly comfortable and drawn to you, she will not only allow you into her space, she will actively seek to shrink the distance between you. This does not manifest as a single, deliberate act, but as a subtle and consistent pattern. In a room with several seating options, she will choose the chair closest to yours. On a sofa, the cushion separating you at the beginning of the night will seem to shrink, and by the end, your shoulders might be nearly touching. While walking together, her path will drift slightly into yours. Psychologically, this is known as proxemics, and it is one of the most reliable signals of affinity because it is incredibly difficult to fake. It is a gravitational pull. Her limbic system, the oldest and most emotional part of her brain, is taking over and issuing a simple command: move closer to the source of safety and pleasure. She is not consciously thinking, I will sit closer to him now. Her body is making the decision for her. For the man who knows how to observe, this consistent closing of the distance is not an invitation to invade, but a confirmation that his presence is, in itself, an invitation she is gladly accepting. In the early stages of a relationship, we often work to find common ground through words. We talk about our interests, our histories, consciously searching for points of connection. But in a relationship that has reached a deeper level of comfort and intimacy, a far more powerful phenomenon emerges: nonverbal synchrony. It is a silent dance where two people, without realizing it, begin to move as reflections of one another. This psychological concept is known as mirroring or the chameleon effect, and it is the external manifestation of a deep, internal connection. Observe closely. When you are deep in a flowing conversation with her, if you cross your leg, a few moments later, she may do the same. If you pick up your glass to drink, she might pick up hers at nearly the same time. If you lean forward with an anecdote, her body will lean in too, as if drawn in by the story. This goes beyond posture. It can extend to the rhythm of speech, to blinking, and even to breathing. Neuroscientists believe this behavior is rooted in our mirror neurons, which fire both when we perform an action and when we observe another doing it. Mirroring is the brain's way of saying, I am with you. I feel what you feel. We are on the same wavelength. It is the hallmark of empathy in action. When you notice this dance of reflections, you must understand that you have transcended mere conversation. You have entered a state of rapport, a space of trust so profound that your bodies have decided to start speaking the same language. A man spends a lifetime learning the meaning of words, but a wise man learns to understand their music. Beyond the content of any conversation, the human voice is an instrument that reveals the true currents of emotion. You can be discussing the weather, politics, or the tasks of the day, but the tone, pace, and volume of her voice will tell the real story of how she feels in your presence. One of the most unmistakable signs of a shift toward intimacy is a noticeable change in her prosody, the musicality of her speech. When a woman feels safe, relaxed, and connected to you, her public voice, the voice she uses for daily interactions with the world, often disappears. It is replaced by a private voice, one that is reserved only for those she is closest to. This intimate voice has very specific characteristics. First, the pitch often lowers. A lower-pitched voice is perceived as less threatening and more comforting, an invitation into a space of calm. Second, the volume decreases. Speaking more softly subconsciously compels the listener to lean in closer, creating a bubble of privacy and exclusivity around you both. Finally, the pace slows down. Fast speech is for efficiently conveying information, slow speech is for savoring the moment, for giving weight to the words, and for enjoying the simple connection of being together. When you notice her voice transform into this softer, slower, lower cadence, understand that she is inviting you into her most personal space. The words she is saying are important, but the real message is in the music she chose to sing them in. Finally, there is the poetry of the body itself, the rhythm and posture that tell a story of openness and invitation. This is not about the exaggerated sway of a young woman seeking attention, but about a more fundamental shift in physical presence. When a woman feels safe and drawn to you, her entire body will relax and orient itself in your direction. In a conversation, you will notice her leaning in, subtly closing the physical space between you. Her posture, which may be more guarded or formal in other settings, will soften. Her arms will be uncrossed, her shoulders relaxed. This is a powerful, subconscious display of trust. This openness is a primal signal of readiness and acceptance. To expose one's torso and vital organs is the ultimate act of vulnerability, a physical declaration that she perceives no threat. But in the context of a mature relationship, it is a sign of profound comfort. She is not just physically open, she is emotionally open. The man of wisdom sees this not as a single signal, but as the culmination of all the others. The trusting gaze, the warm smile, the lingering touch, they all lead to this state of physical ease. Understanding these cues is not a formula for seduction. It is the art of seeing the whole person. It is recognizing that a woman's desire for intimacy is a holistic experience, a quiet symphony of signals that, when understood, can lead to a connection that is more profound and fulfilling than any grand declaration could ever hope to be. But understanding these invitations is only half of the conversation. There are subtle, common mistakes that even experienced men make, moments where they unknowingly send signals of disinterest or insecurity, effectively shutting down the very connection they seek. In our next video, we will explore the 3 great destroyers of unspoken intimacy, the subtle habits that can undo years of trust in a single evening. You won't want to miss it. If this video has given you a new perspective, give it a like, subscribe to Sovereign Psychology, and tap the bell so you never miss an insight that can change the way you understand the world.